Are you on a doom scroll right now? Stop. Do you struggle with addiction? You've tried everything to stop, but it just doesn't work? This video is for you. Stick around to find out the 4 principles that I use to overcome addiction for good. I'm someone that has dealt with many addictions in the past, still dealing with them. Luckily, nothing I've had to deal with has been something that has been aggressively catastrophic, something like, I guess the classic one would be heroin. Nonetheless, the pattern is all the same. Things that I've had problems with cannabis, I've had problems with caffeine, I've had problems with pornography, I've had problems with screens in general, I've had problems with psychedelics, although in a in a different way. It's obviously not a daily thing. And the lesser ones like sugar, food in general can be an addiction. And I've made a lot of progress over the last couple of years, and then that has accelerated quite a lot over the last year or so. In this video, I'd like to share with you the 4 cornerstones, um, principles that I followed to overcome addiction. These are things that have come to me as I've been going through the process. They've arisen spontaneously by my experience of grappling and struggling with these things, and it would be beneficial, I think, to have this understanding given to you rather than having to figure everything out from yourself. And ultimately, though, everyone does have to figure things out for themselves, and some things have to be moved through. And you can hear something a million times, but if you're not ready to take it in, then you won't. The first the first point, the most important point, and with this, if this is followed uh, scrupulously, then nothing else is needed ultimately, and that would be to value presence over anything else. There's 3 main aspects to this, I would say. Firstly, is that all addiction essentially is seeking to distract you from what is here now. And so, if even just by will alone one can remain present, the pull of the addiction can be more readily seen for what it is, and then indulged in or not. Valuing presence like that sends a message to life itself that that's what you want, and it will respond accordingly. Because in presence, one finds the thing that one has been looking for all along, that which that which the addiction has masked, that which one has been searching for in all the wrong places, like the addictive behaviors. And when that truth is realized, it automatically feels much better than the pseudo wholeness that the substance or whatever it is giving you, because it's the real thing. And so then naturally one wants that more than the addiction. And ultimately, the way that nervous systems are designed are to move towards pleasure and away from pain. So if the association with the substance is pleasurable, then you will do it. And then not doing it is always just an act of will and will create internal conflict. But as soon as one has the experience of true presence, that feeling is instantly better. And so then naturally one wants that. And then it becomes a lot easier, and there's a lot less internal struggle. Um, in putting the behavior down, because once that experience is had, all of a sudden, when one does engage in the addictive behavior, one recognizes it as painful because it takes you away from the real pleasure of presence. So, lastly, to sum that point up, I would say don't try don't try to give the specific thing up, uh, because most likely it won't work. And if it does work, it will just be exported into something else. So you'll swap nicotine for YouTube videos, say. Don't try to give up the individual behavior, just come back to what is here and now. Come to presence. And naturally, anything that needs to fall away will fall away. So, the second point. Now, once one has decided to value presence and being with what is here now, undoubtedly there will be feelings of discomfort, maybe even feelings that are too much to be with. Hence the pull towards doing something that's distracting, some addictive behavior. And so this will require a process to be able to just be with the discomfort, to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And so here I would advise to expose yourself to doing nothing, to being bored, to just being. And then through this exposure therapy, one realizes that it's not nearly as bad as one thinks it is. As something arises that cannot be dealt with, then there's a pull towards a particular addictive behavior, and then if that is engaged in, and so therefore the uncomfortable feeling is avoided, then it creates like an anticipation of something that is way worse than what the feeling actually is, especially if it's repeated over and over again. Now, there are obviously addictions that produce quite intense physical withdrawal symptoms, and obviously ones that can even be harmful to the physical health of the individual. And so I would obviously say, like, use one's discretion when dealing with those kinds of addictions and seek medical advice if possible. If you are able to be with what is there and you are able to fully feel it, no matter how uncomfortable it is at first, with enough practice, then one is able to fully be with any uncomfortable feeling. Uh, and the first time that happens is quite a breakthrough moment because one realizes then and there that any feeling fully felt is bliss. And then that further reinforces the valuing presence over everything. And from there, the healing process sort of gains momentum, snowballs or cascades on itself, and progress can be made quite rapidly. Ultimately, what these first 2 points are doing are getting one to stop constantly running away or running towards something, um, chasing things that we want or getting away from things that we don't want. Uh, and really, only one experience of this is needed in order to initiate the healing. Uh, but in order to get that one experience, there may need to be quite some time of practice. And so the analogy that's used here is something like surfing, like you paddle out and you use your effort and your will, and then you ride the wave back in. So that first experience of just being without running away from or without running towards anything, just being with and letting yourself be overtaken by whatever the thing is that's so terrifying that you haven't been able to face, provides such a sense of peace and calm, even bliss and ecstasy, that from then on, the rest of the process becomes a lot easier because you're just riding that wave. Maybe I should put a disclaimer here also that people are different, and so some people may need more support depending on the severity of the trauma that they are dealing with and coping with, trying to get away from. Um, and so, again, like, don't push yourself too hard and ask for help if it's needed. Don't take my advice as like the authority, I suppose. Right, finally, last 2 points. There's more on the intellectual side of things or the cognitive processing of things. Firstly, find out how the behavior is helping you. Like I said, nervous systems are designed to move towards pleasure and away from pain. So even if the behavior is harmful, the reason that you're still doing it is because on some level it's helping you. If you're struggling to break the habit, if you're valuing presence and you're practicing being here and now, and you've exposed yourself to being bored, and still there's like a persistence, and you've had that experience of presence, you've had that feeling that's better than all other feelings, but you're still engaging in this harmful behavior, that means then there's some need that you aren't able to meet, that you are then meeting with the addictive behavior. And so if you can zero in on that and find out how this thing is actually helping you, then you can come up with strategies to meet that need in a different way. And then that will help to break the hold on that. You can't bliss yourself out of something that you need. And linked to that point is the final point. Realize how that behavior is hurting you. If you can learn to associate pain with that addictive behavior, if you can. So this ties in with point number one, just being here with what is and not trying to stop anything, just valuing presence. Is that ultimately you will, because of the force of habit, find yourself engaging in this behavior. So what I recommend is not stopping yourself, because then you're creating that internal conflict, and then you're not present because you're creating a division within yourself between the one that does the behavior and the one that wants to stop it. Let yourself do it, but just be with it totally as much as you can. Just allow. And then if you're not shaming yourself and not judging yourself for engaging in the behavior, and you just maintain the presence, valuing the presence over everything, then you will all of a sudden realize how it's hurting. It will become very obvious to you. And once you've realized that, it will fall away on its own. Nothing you need to do, because, as I said, that's how nervous systems are designed. Find out how it's helping you, get another strategy for doing that. Be with it while it's happening, so you can feel the pain that it's causing you, and then from there it's really simple.